Ethan Ward and the Vault of Ice. Chapter 1. A Message from the North. The email arrived under layers of encryption. Marcus had intercepted it on an obscure server routed through Icelandic satellites, barely a traceable signature, but just enough to catch his eye. The message contained nothing more than a set of coordinates, a timestamp, and a single phrase. The vault is awakening. Ethan Ward knew the legend well. Hidden beneath the Arctic ice, carved into the bedrock of northern Norway, was said to be an ancient vault built by a forgotten civilization, one that predated the Vikings and even the earliest Germanic tribes. Most historians dismissed it as folklore. Ethan, however, had seen enough to know that truth often hid behind myth. By the time he boarded the small research aircraft bound for Tromsø, Sophia was already waiting at the hangar. A thick coat over her shoulder, her expression unreadable, but her eyes burning with curiosity. Marcus joined them at the last minute, clutching a portable server and muttering about the radio silence from nearby expeditions. Something was interfering with satellite signals in the region. They knew this wasn't just another dig. Something had stirred. Chapter 2. Beneath the Ice. The plane touched down on a remote airstrip near Tromsø, just as the sky began to bruise with the blue-pink hues of the Arctic twilight. The temperature plummeted instantly, biting at their cheeks and stiffening their breath. Ethan stepped off first, adjusting the strap of his weather-worn satchel. The cold didn't bother him much anymore, not after years of deserts, jungles, and storm-battered ruins. But this place felt different, ancient, and watching. Sophia followed close behind, pulling her scarf tighter around her neck as she scanned the white expanse that stretched endlessly before them. Her green eyes, sharp and alert, reflected the pale light of the snow as if they had absorbed the ice itself. Marcus, bundled in more tech gear than outerwear, shuffled after them, already muttering about electromagnetic interference and satellite shadow zones. Their guide, a middle-aged Sami man named Isak, waited beside a pair of snowmobiles. He spoke little English, but his eyes told them everything. They were heading somewhere sacred, somewhere that even the locals didn't enter lightly. He gestured toward the towering fjords in the distance and pointed to a ridgeline where the glacier had recently receded, revealing something long hidden. The journey up the frozen valley took hours. The wind howled without mercy, funneling through the crags like a living force. The snowmobiles kicked up plumes of ice as they snaked along ancient reindeer trails and across brittle sheets of frozen water. Along the way, Ethan noticed curious rock formations, boulders stacked deliberately, forming markers or perhaps warnings. By the time they reached the mouth of the cave, the last of the daylight had faded. Only the shimmering green of the aurora lit the sky, casting eerie reflections onto the ice below. There, embedded into the wall of the cliff, was the doorway. It wasn't just stone. The structure had been fused into the glacier itself, geometric, symmetrical, and strangely smooth. No chisel marks, no tool scars. It was as if the ice had grown around the door, or the door had emerged from the ice. Sophia ran her gloved fingers along the strange carvings surrounding the frame. They were unlike anything in traditional Norse iconography. Interlocking spirals and angular glyphs pulsed faintly beneath a layer of frost. They're not decorative, Ethan thought. They're instructions, or a lock. Marcus set up a scanner beside the entrance. His equipment flickered, disrupted by faint pulses radiating from within. Readings fluctuated wildly, too regular to be random, too artificial to be geological. "I'm picking up frequencies. Modulated ones," Marcus said half to himself. "Whatever's in there, it's broadcasting something. Or, listening." Ethan knelt beside a series of small, rune-like indentations at the base of the door. He recognized one of the symbols, a variant of the sigil rune for sun, mirrored and fused with a triangle, a shape often associated with balance or gateways. He pressed his palm against it. A soft vibration rumbled through the ice. Then, without warning, the stone shifted. With the sound of ancient rock grinding against ancient mechanisms, the door slowly opened inward, revealing a narrow passage that descended into darkness. The air that spilled from within was warmer than the outside, dry, preserved, as if the cave had been sealed not for protection, but for containment. They entered, cautiously, headlights slicing through the thick air. The walls were lined with what looked like a mixture of natural rock and fused glass, embedded with mineral veins that shimmered under the light. A faint humming echoed through the corridor, not mechanical, but rhythmic, almost musical. Sophia paused. "It's like it's alive," she whispered to herself. Deeper inside, they reached a rotunda carved from a single piece of glacial stone. At its center stood a pedestal encased in translucent crystal. Around it, the floor was etched with mosaics, depictions of constellations, celestial alignments, and mythic beasts unknown to modern catalogs. Ethan recognized one of the constellations. It hadn't existed in the night sky for over 12,000 years. He knelt beside the crystal pedestal and felt warmth radiating from its surface. The humming intensified slightly. He could sense it now. This wasn't just a chamber. It was a node, a part of something larger, something global. Marcus's gear lit up like fireworks. "We're standing on top of an energy source," he said with awe. "It's interacting with us." Sophia stood at the edge of the platform, her silhouette framed by the soft blue glow of the chamber. Her breath fogged slightly, but her expression was calm, focused. She sensed what Ethan felt too. The vault was not a tomb. It was a transmitter, a message. Just as Ethan reached for the control panel embedded in the pedestal, Sophia turned sharply. Her instincts kicked in. She moved toward the entrance, scanning the passage behind them. Tracks. They weren't alone. Someone had entered after them. The snow outside hadn't masked their arrival well enough. Ethan stood, tension rising in his shoulders. "It's starting again," he thought. Whatever the vault was meant to protect or reveal had begun to stir, and there were others who would do anything to claim it. From beyond the corridor, a faint metallic clink echoed, a boot against stone. They had been followed, and the vault was awakening. Chapter 3. Shadows Beneath the Ice. The sound of footsteps was unmistakable now, measured, deliberate. Not the cautious steps of explorers, but the confident stride of men who believed the place already belonged to them. Ethan signaled to Sophia and Marcus with a raised hand, then extinguished his flashlight. Darkness swallowed the chamber, save for the low bioluminescent glow emanating from the crystal pedestal. They slipped silently behind a ridge of jagged rock that jutted from the cavern wall. Moments later, the first shadow appeared in the entrance. A beam of cold light swept across the room. Voices followed, sharp, clipped, speaking German-accented English. Ethan didn't need to see their faces. The logo on the shoulder of one man's parka confirmed it. Orion International, a paramilitary research outfit known for its brutal acquisitions of archaeological sites. They were here, for the vault. Behind the first two men, a third figure entered. Taller, cloaked in black with a high collar turned against the cold. His presence was quiet but commanding. The others deferred to him instinctively. He removed his gloves slowly and approached the crystal pedestal with the reverence of a man meeting a god. Ethan recognized him. Dr. Halvor Kruger, a former CERN physicist turned rogue anthropologist. The man had vanished years ago after publishing a radical paper proposing that ancient civilizations had accessed quantum knowledge through unknown means. His theories were dismissed. Now he stood before a vault designed to do just that. Kruger placed his hand on the surface of the crystal. The glow intensified, pulsating rhythmically, like a heart under ice. Symbols along the chamber walls shimmered in sequence, patterns Ethan hadn't yet deciphered. The vault was responding to him. Sophia leaned closer to Ethan, her breath warm against his cheek. Her eyes burned with intensity, not fear. We have to stop him, Ethan thought. Marcus, still tucked behind a stalagmite, was typing silently on a small device. He was trying to jam the signal. If the vault was transmitting, Marcus could delay its reach. But one of the mercenaries suddenly turned his light toward their hiding place. It caught Marcus's boot. "Move!" Ethan hissed as the first shot rang out. The chamber erupted into chaos. Bullets ricocheted off stone. Ethan rolled to cover behind a fallen column, pulling Sophia with him. Marcus scrambled back, barely dodging a second burst of gunfire. The ancient calm of the vault shattered like glass. Its glow pulsed erratically, reacting to the violence. Kruger didn't flinch. He simply raised a small artifact from his coat, an angular device pulsing with the same light as the vault. It was a key. Ethan dashed across the chamber in a blur, tackling one of the gunmen and disarming him in a single motion. Sophia grabbed a dropped flare, igniting it and tossing it toward the center. The sudden burst of light disoriented the mercenaries, buying them precious seconds. But it wasn't enough. Kruger inserted the artifact into the pedestal. A low hum rose to a scream. The chamber walls began to shift. Symbols retracted, revealing hidden mechanisms. A deep, grating sound echoed through the tunnels. Then, silence. And the floor dropped. The entire center of the chamber descended like an elevator, plunging Kruger and the vault key into darkness. A hidden shaft had opened beneath him. Ethan lunged too late. A slab of glacial stone slammed shut above the shaft, sealing it. Sophia ran to the pedestal. Its glow was gone. Ethan stood in the flickering light of the flare, heart pounding. They had lost the vault, but more than that, they had awakened it. The remaining mercenaries retreated, dragging their wounded with them. Ethan let them go. His focus was elsewhere now. Kruger was no longer just a rival. He was inside whatever was beneath the vault. Marcus approached, bruised but intact, holding the scanner. "It's still active," he said. "Whatever was down there, it's alive." Ethan looked at Sophia. Her eyes were fixed on the sealed shaft, a mix of awe and dread reflected in their depths. "We need to follow him," she whispered. Ethan nodded. They would need to regroup, decode the remaining symbols, and find a way deeper into the earth. The vault wasn't just a chamber. It was a door. And now, someone had opened it. Chapter 4. The Vault Revealed. Inside the chamber, Ethan and his team discovered murals depicting celestial alignments, catastrophic floods, and migration routes across continents. At the center stood a crystalline structure, shaped like an inverted obelisk, humming with energy. It wasn't a weapon or a treasure. It was a data core, a preservation of knowledge encoded in light and vibration. Ethan approached cautiously. As he touched a panel near the base, the entire room came to life. Symbols floated mid-air, rotating slowly. The air vibrated with ancient voices. It was a message, one that spoke of a lost age and a warning that every great civilization eventually unlocks its own destruction. Before Ethan could finish the decoding, gunfire echoed through the tunnels. Calder had arrived. The standoff was swift and violent. Marcus, using a short-range jamming device, disrupted Calder's communications, giving Ethan and Sophia just enough time to trigger the vault's lockdown. A hidden passage opened beneath the data core, leading into the glacier itself. With no time to lose, they fled into the ice. Chapter 5. The Escape and the Choice. The tunnel narrowed into a frozen riverbed, once used to transport the crystal's knowledge into other chambers. As they ran, the walls began to collapse behind them. Calder, desperate, had triggered a failsafe. Sophia slipped, nearly falling into a crevasse, but Ethan caught her just in time. Marcus, trailing with a data drive in hand, shouted over the roar of shifting ice. Finally, they burst into daylight on the far side of the glacier, frost clinging to their clothes, lungs burning with cold. Behind them, the entrance vanished, sealed again for who knew how long. They had escaped, but they hadn't left empty-handed. Ethan carried a fragment of the data core, small enough to conceal but powerful enough to change everything historians thought they knew about the ancient world. As they boarded a helicopter arranged by Marcus, Sophia looked out at the horizon, the Arctic sun casting gold over the snow. She knew this was only the beginning. Ethan, holding the crystalline shard, felt the hum of forgotten voices still echoing beneath his fingertips. The end, or the beginning. In the heart of the ice, beneath the weight of time, secrets had stirred. But some knowledge, once found, cannot be forgotten. And somewhere in the world, another door was waiting to be opened. If you enjoyed the story of Ethan Ward and want to keep learning English through more of his thrilling adventures, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. New stories are coming soon.